Welcome back, everybody, to Comic Shop Talk on the Late Night Chat Network, your first stop for pop culture talk. And this is our weekly comic book review show. And joining with me today, as always, is my co-host, Chris. How's it going?
Hey, not too bad. How are you?
I'm good. I'm your host, Niko. I forgot to say that part. I tried to throw in something else off script there, Chris. It threw me completely off. And I'm still reeling from the loss of the Jays in
That's
the World
understandable.
Series.
Yeah,
Yeah, but
took us right to the edge and then dropped the ball.
I had to wear the hat though. I had to wear the new hat I picked up at the watch party this week. So it's a nice one. I'm not gonna wear the chain though. I also got one of those chains.
You were ready for the win.
That's where I'm drawing the line. Exactly. I was ready to wear it for the show, but here we are though. So what could you do? But yeah, good run, good season, and this is a comic show, believe it or not a sports update show. And this is Comic Shop Talk, episode 203 here for you guys here today, our weekly comic book review show. And this is where me and Chris get together every week and discuss the comics that came out. Like what we've read, what we thought about them. We show off some of the art. We even sometimes discuss some new comic book news, which Chris actually just told me about some that came out this week, which we will be discussing at the end of our conversation of what we've read this week. So stay tuned for that. Make sure you're subscribed to the channel. Make sure to hit that like button, that thumbs up button. Let's continue the chat, the conversation here in the comments. We had someone check out our new comic book solicitations video that just came out this past week and actually informed me about some stuff that we were asking ourselves on the video, Chris. Like we didn't know, what was the origin of one of the characters in one of the books, and he kind of chimed in the chat there and in the comments, let us know. So yeah, we like that kind of stuff. And thank you for watching the videos. And if you did miss that, we do a monthly comic book solicitation video where we talk about things that we're looking forward to checking out and reading in the coming months from these publishers, books that we'll talk about eventually here on the show. So like if there's anything, we're misinformed about, or if we, need some more info on, hit us up in the comments, let us know, because, let's keep the conversation going here. And this week we're going to be talking about the new comics that came out for the week of October 29th, 2025. And as always, spoiler warning, be forewarned, we are going to be talking about what happens in the books. So if you haven't read your books yet, you can always read them and then come back and check out the show, check out the playlist at any time. All kinds of episodes here for you, 200 and counting, as well as like all this other additional comic book content and other videos we do here on the Late Night Chat Network. So yeah, go ahead and take a look. All right, Chris.
All right, let's talk comics.
Cheers. Cheers. All right, first up on the docket here today, we got the conclusion of this Marvel event here, Imperial number 4. It's got the A cover.
Oh, I got a variant cover for that.
You get the Hulk, She-Hulk? Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a good one. That's
Well, it didn't have much to do with this story, but
no, if I was gonna get one, that would have been the one. That is a nice one, yeah.
Yeah, but I think I missed a couple issues of this, so I wasn't really too concerned about keeping all the covers similar. But as for this comic, I don't know. I lost the thread of what's going on in this the whole time. And this wrap up here at the end, it didn't really make much sense to me. I guess they were kind of just laying out what the foundation of what the cosmic sort of Marvel universe is going to be. And yeah, it was okay, but it was nothing spectacular. What would you think of this?
Yeah, I think this is honestly suffered from the delay of the last issue coming out. Like they obviously had a plan for this, the way they went about it. Releasing all of those one shots within like I guess the 2 months time or whatever, probably since we got the last issue, every weekly, starting up new series from that, kind of spinning out of the event. But then as a result of it, and I found that we talked about a bunch of them here on the show, and a lot of them weren't that great, and some of them were just okay, and I don't feel like any of them, other than maybe the Planet She-Hulk one, really kind of piqued my interest to maybe check out the ongoing series that's going to spin out of this. But I think it dragged out the conclusion of this very kind of straightforward, simple of a wrap up of a story here. And it's not that I was so much confused, but it was just like what I got out of this was like whatever happened here The Inhumans used it to leverage their power again and become part of this coalition, the coalition of planets and whatever else, whatever have you. And then Maximus, Black Bolt's brother, he basically used him. And in this issue is less like, now we're basically we're banning you. We're what is, like he basically said, like he's not allowed in on their planet anymore. Like he basically banished him from
Yeah,
the
yeah, that's
so,
what it seems to be like that, like a Loki character almost. And the kind of you expect him to be upset about it, or he's like plot revenge, but basically he takes it as that was part of the plan. He's walking away, goes, oh, I didn't think you had it in you. Good on you, and don't worry, you're going to need me soon enough. And when you do, you just come calling. I'm ready.
Yeah, no, I kind of liked how Black Bolt. It turned out like he was the person who was pulling the strings and was the one that had this whole plan in mind here by the end of it, because usually Maximus, his brother, there is like the black sheep of the family, this character, and he's the shit disturber. So he kind of like respected him for the fact that he did all this at the end. He's like, nicely done. He's like, I didn't think, like you said, you didn't think you had it in you. And I really liked that scene. But then by the end of it, it was just like, yep, things are just going to continue to be the way they are. And there's a lot of people that basically had to like turn, like ignore what transpired and who was responsible for it in order to keep peace between all of the planets. Like Nova basically is like, it tells off, what's his name from the Guardians of the Galaxy? Star-Lord, and says like, I'm no friend of yours anymore. Like, you're just gonna like move ahead. He's like, well, listen, my father worked really hard and you to put this all together, and like I can't, like it's kind of like a very political kind of space drama type of thing, right? Like it's like,
that's what I was gonna say. This piece is sort of based on lies, and everybody in there has like their hands a bit dirty from it. Because I think even the Wakandans in space, I think Black Panther, he knows that something is awry, but in the name of peace, everybody's just kind of sitting on their hands. So perhaps that's going to be like the big thread running through these new issues is this peace going to last when it's built on injustice, let's say.
Yeah. No, but I mean, that in and of itself is not bad at all. Like for like a little 4-issue miniseries, it's the fact that they tried to do all this other stuff as a result of this series, like do all these spin-offs and delay this ending. Like, I don't know why we couldn't have already had this issue. Like, maybe, I don't know if it was not in the can yet, and maybe that's what the way they set it up. But I feel like this could have came out at any time of year. It's like this was not like even though it came out in the summer, this was not like a summer event, in my opinion. Like, you know what I mean? This could have came out at any time. You could have put out those one shots as the series was coming out. I felt like, you could have like brought those out. I just think there's so many things that that came out in between the gap of the 3rd and 4th issue that really dragged down this finale or took away from it as a result. And like sitting here talking about it, I don't think it was bad. Like it just lost some of its luster at the end. Like, you know what I mean? Yeah, like it cooled off a bit for us, and we were kind of like enjoying this, and then now we're just like, yeah, it was fine. Like, so it's kind of disappointing in that sense. But I think this will, if you skip this entirely, I think if you're just to pick up the trade of this, like the collection, and read this all in one go, I think it actually will read a lot better. I think this suffered as a result of like what happened with the scheduling and stuff like that. I think as a whole, I think this is a pretty solid little story that they told here, honestly. But yeah, but that's it. I mean, it's not really. We're not going to be reading a lot of these books that are coming out of it. We've already kind of said that we have no interest in a lot of them, right? I might check out the She-Hulk one, but this is just going to be like a story that comes and goes. Unfortunately, in that sense, I don't think this is going to make any lasting impact, or maybe it will. Like you said, these guys will have to deal with the fact that they were all involved in this conspiracy here to hide what actually occurred. So, what'd you give this then, Chris?
I'll give it a 3.75 and probably a 3.75 for the whole series.
Yeah, I agree. That's what I would give it as well. Yeah. It was good. I thought it was a solid little series, but I may have given it more if it didn't drag it out the way they did, honestly. But I'm glad it was only like 4 oversized issue.
Yeah.
It wasn't like this, like, let's take a year telling this story with all the one shots and everything else. So even with the delay, they could have really dragged this out, right? So
Well, like when this was being teased, the one big thing that I was really interested in is, that the return to planet, was it Scar or Sakar, whatever they call it.
yeah,
Okay, something, but it really had nothing to do with the story. It was just there to set up, one of the murders, and then Hulk left, and that's it.
yeah,
But
yeah.
anyway,
And that's, I think that is happening with the Planet She-Hulk. That's where she is, right?
yeah,
So,
like I don't see how that story can, that can't power 50 issues. That's gonna be 10 if you're lucky. It seems to be the Marvel way now.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. All right, so that's Imperial number 4. Next up, we got our Age of Revelation tie-in issues here this week. Our new slate of number 1s, spin-off issues here. Cloak or Dagger number 1. Got the Ivan Talavera cover for this one.
Me too.
Yeah, it's a nice one.
It was a nice 1 in 25 cover too, but I'm glad it was 1 in 25 because that was an open order cover. I might have to get 2 of these, and I'm not sure if it's worth having 2 of these in your collection. But otherwise, like, I didn't mind this story. It's nice to see Cloak and Dagger get a little spin on their powers. Is that they can only sort of occupy, reality one at a time, but they still can communicate through each other, I guess, telepathically when one's in the void or in the darkness. What they're up to, I don't know here. They're trying to save people. This seems to be, each one of these X stories, there seems to be, I don't know, almost a similar thread through a few of them that kind of just get everything mixed up. I think here, aren't they on the borderlands here? And they're trying to bring people out of the Revelation territories into the Haven or something.
Yeah.
And I don't know, whatever, things go awry, and who knows. And I guess one takeaway here is that inside, I guess, the negative space or the void, wherever they go, is that Cloak and Dagger have a child there, and she seems to be living in the void or something.
Yeah.
But there's some good characters, but it was an okay read. I wouldn't say it was anything great.
Yeah, I agree. I don't really have too much to add to what you said. I mean, I've had limited experience with these characters. Honestly, probably the last time I've read them has been like Amazing Spider-Man. Like they showed up, and they used to show up in the Spider-Man a bit back in the day, where like they're more like street level type of characters, sorta. Even though like they're like
they had more to do with drugs. Like I think Dagger could, not those light beams or whatever she's still would kind of heal people from their addictions, and the ones that were too far gone, Cloak would swallow them up, and then that would like scare them straight almost. And where are they taking these characters? Like I said, I haven't followed too much of them either.
Yeah. So I don't know, like it's kind of weird. Like I don't know if it was like open season for the people that were like agreeable to do these one shots, that they're like, hey, what characters do you like? And somebody's like, hey, Cloak and Dagger. Oh, sure. It just seemed very random, some of the people they chose to tell stories with in this time period. And, as we learned even more so from the one shots we're talking about, sorry, not the one shots, the issues that we're talking about today, because of the fact there's an X virus element to this Age of Revelation in the future, you really can use any characters and say like now they have mutant powers in these stories as well, right? So it's kind of gives you the opportunity to really tell any story of any of these people in the future. You can either make them a mutant or not, like I guess we saw in Spider-Man where he isn't, but there is other people that looks like they were affected by the X virus in that story, like Aunt May, right? So that's kind of what we're dealing with in this kind of Age of Revelation, where for the people that aren't necessarily mutants or looked at as mutants, right? But it's just, it's a weird choice. Not that I don't like these characters. Like I think it's cool that they use them, but it doesn't seem like there's a rhyme or reason as to which like characters are being used or whatever, right? So, but it's cool to see these guys again, and it was an okay issue. What'd you give it?
Yeah, I give it 3.5.
Yeah, I think that's fair. There's nothing wrong with it, but I don't think I'm happy I got this cover, but other than that, I don't think I'll be reading the next one just because I'm not as interested in this one, to be honest. Next up, X-Vengers #1. So as I was just saying, this is like comprised of like a bunch of people that were Avengers previously that are now mutated, like people like Hawkeye who have like 6 arms and stuff like that, and Giant Man, who is now like he looks like the Hunchback of Notre Dame, and he's all mutant messed up, and Shang-Chi. So you have like a bunch of different characters that are made up of this new Avengers team in this one, and some of them are mutated and some of them aren't. Some of them are like X virus mutated, some of them are just mutants. So it's like a combination of mutants from like X-Men and Avenger people. So and Jason Liu wrote this one. What'd you think of this, Chris?
Like I say, I don't think it was too bad. It was nice seeing some of the characters. I don't know what's going on with Danny Moonstar. They seem to be pushing her a lot lately. You know, she was almost basically the star of that Magic comic near the end.
Yeah.
And then here, she's the one that, you know, I've never seen any sort of connection between Captain America and Moonstar, but I guess X years in the future now, they seem to be tight friends. And then as Captain America's dying, you know, they have the same shared vision, and he gives the shield to her.
Yeah.
And, you know, I can understand why nobody else in this world here kind of believes that to be the case. And I think, are they like government agents here or something, or
I
believe kind of working loosely with the government? But I don't know if that's like the freedom fighters, because they're not in the Revelation territories.
That's right.
They seem to be working like with Revelation as part of like some truce or something. They did like that scene with Danny and I guess Doug Ramsey or Revelation, whatever his name now, you know, knowing they have their old New Mutant sort of connection. And, you know, she seems to talk to him more like just a normal person, not some, you know, messiah. But
right.
Also, like you say, I think it's all like just some giant what if universe, and the what if question isn't all that great.
I also kind of like the fact that like the Vision now has been affected by like the techno virus, like the one that's like in Warlock, I forget what they call it, but the techno gate virus or something like that. It's basically like, it looks like between this
black stuff.
In between this book and another book, which we still have to talk about, that came out this week for these Age of Revelations, like that's also like a thing that's like going on here. So I thought that was kind of interesting. I do like they played with certain elements of like the Marvel universe and used it for these, you know, to transform these people with their new powers, or like to acknowledge certain things that happened to these characters in their past. We really haven't been like that hot on Jason Liu as a writer, but he keeps getting like projects, I feel like, for Marvel as of lately. And I actually thought like this showed some like promise, this one. Like I was like, you could see he's getting better as a writer. And he also, this actually was a good way for him to be able to play with like a lot of the characters and like show that like he has a knowledge of certain stuff. Yeah, you know what I mean? Like, and actually like, you know what I mean? So I think he's getting better. Like this is definitely, I think, showed some promise in that sense.
This is definitely a step up from Dazzler. This is way better than Dazzler. That's for sure.
Yeah. So, and you know, I think this kind of gave him the opportunity to play around with a lot of like stuff that he normally wouldn't be able to, right? So I think that that makes it a little more fun to be able to write something like this too. This part was really crazy too. I actually did like this part where Giant Man, he's like, he's all like messed up and he's like hunched over, but he's still huge in this one scene. And then like something happens to him at the end where he basically just says like, well, I guess that's right. It's Ant-Man, not Giant Man. It's Ant-Man, because he's talking about his daughter here in this scene. And he's like, basically like, yeah, I'm done. Like, he looks like he's dying at the end. He's like, I'm going to see my daughter or whatever. And I thought, well, that was pretty tragic what happened to him at the end, because he's like being consumed by like this like gook or something at the end. I don't know what the hell it is. Like some stuff that came up from like the ground. It seemed like, I don't know if it's like a Venom symbiote or something. I don't know what it is, but it looked like it was killing him at the end there. And then he basically is just like, yeah, I'm throwing in the towel. I'm dead here. So I thought that was kind of brutal there at the end. But Yeah, this wasn't bad. Shang-Chi has the ability to like smash things, and they like basically smash like glass now. They were saying like he punches something and he had to like relearn how to fight, because like if he touches somebody, he can just basically destroy them or destroy his surroundings. So he had like, he had to like ease up on like applying that much force or something, they were saying in this. So there's some fun ideas in here. I thought it was okay, but I don't know. I don't know if I'm gonna check out the next issue or not, though. We'll see.
Yeah.
What'd you give this?
I guess a 3.5 as well. It was okay. It's better than some of the other ones out there for sure.
I also probably will stick with a 3.5 out of 5, but it's verging on a 3.75. I think there was a lot of fun ideas in this one that, like, at least in comparison to some of the other books so far, I think this one had a bit of more potential going for it. So we'll see if it's depending on like how big of a week it is next time it comes out. I might check out the second issue. And then you got Undead Pool #1. I think this is by Tim Seeley, the other half of the Local Man team here.
Yeah.
What'd you think?
Did Tim Seeley do some of those horror books too, or no?
Yeah, he's a big horror. You could see why.
Yeah, you can see this one here. That's what I was getting at there.
Yeah,
because here, in the beginning, it seems like Deadpool is just basically a zombie or something.
Yeah,
and there's a team of whatever mutants on the run. They're all sort of interesting people. They're kind of putting up their fight, and then just Deadpool is like just killing them one by one. And go, oh wow, this could be a kind of a crazy comic. But then it seems, once he eats enough of these mutants and it satisfies his zombiness, he gets his head back, and now he's trying to save this person that he's just killed. The rest of the team, and somehow Cable's involved in this, and it's always good when Deadpool and Cable sort of are in the mix. And it was surprising. I thought, as for a Deadpool comic, I always sort of expect all that smart aleckiness and just kind of fourth wall breaking. This seemed to be just more of a straight up Deadpool comic, and I enjoyed that.
Yeah, this is definitely it read exactly like what you would expect from like a zombie film type of story here, and just with Deadpool as the main character. And I did like the whole idea that his healing factor thing, that the thing that is basically that he has in him, that it's fighting it's against itself constantly with this virus. So the virus can't take him out or because he's technically not a mutant, right? Yeah. Like Deadpool, right? They put that in him. So it's he's in this constant state of being undead essentially as a result of that, which in and of itself, that's a really like fun idea for the character, right? And I think it kind of plays well for this character. And like you said, he has to satiate that hunger, and he's like on what were they saying? Like he's basically just being like he doesn't have control of his mind until like it does.
Yeah, until he gets it back.
Yeah, he's like on cruise control essentially, right? Is staggering around. So like that honestly is a fun idea. And I mean, if this is a little 3-issue miniseries, I could probably read another one of these. I thought like for what this was fun. It's kind of involved in the this is where you see that techno-organic virus stuff in this one as well, I think, right? I think this is the other issue that featured it. I think it takes over this guy, or is that the next one that we're talking about? I think it's this one. I think one of them gets killed, I think, by that, or no, Cable at the end of this issue, he is infected with it. That's what's going on with Cable. Yeah. Cable's infected with that. At the end of this issue, you see he's got like that warlock stuff in him, like that. That's what's going on at the end of that. And then again, he's playing with Cable, he's playing with Deadpool. It makes sense. It tracks, right, in that sense. So I had fun with this one. The art was good. Yeah. What'd you give this?
Yeah, I give this 3.75.
Yeah, I agreed. This is definitely the standout, I think, of this week. This one here, Expatriate X-Men #1 is the last one here. What'd you think of this, Chris?
Yeah, I don't think this is my favorite characters in here. I think just when the cast was put up there. Isn't Mystique sort of involved in this team somehow, or am I
Who?
mistaken? Mystique.
Yeah, she is. She's the one that basically she appears on a monitor halfway through the issue, and she's the
Yeah,
one
she's
that's
kind
like,
of I guess the Charles Xavier of this team or whatever, the one kind of setting up the missions.
yeah.
And what got they out here just trying to run around and save mutants or something? And I don't know. That the storyline just seems to be out there too many of these X stories, and from what I remember, this wasn't my favorite. This was like my least favorite of them all. It just didn't have characters I connect with.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. And I think just as like like this is definitely another example of like one of these resistance teams that's out there trying to help young mutants or like, help people in need during this event. But which is always something that goes on during these X-Men books. It kind of sort of reminded me of like the Marauders of the Krakoa era type of book, but like you said, with less interesting characters. And it's nowhere near as fun as that series was because Jerry Duggan was writing that at the time. So I think this is my viewing this one. I mean, again, it was fine for what it was, but I wasn't really as interested in what they were selling here. Like you said, like I don't have a connection with a lot of these characters. Kamala Khan, I did when she was Ms. Marvel, but ever since she's kind of joined as part of the mutants, she hasn't been as interesting to me. I felt like I hated that they did that when they did it because it just makes her less special because now she's also a mutant and they got to like involve her in mutant stories now. You know what I mean? Like I would have been more interested with her on her own, doing her own thing like she was previous to her being a mutant. Then they try to make her an Inhuman and like now she's just part Inhuman, part mutant or something. I don't even know if that's still the case, but I just really think they messed with her origins, unfortunately, and try to make her part of something bigger. And as a result, they made her less important in my eyes. You know what I mean? Or less special. Right.
Exactly.
So, yeah. So I don't know. And then I guess the reveal at the end is like the person who's leading this group, like on the, as part of the team, other than Mystique, is working both sides of the fence. It seems like she gets a transmission or she's talking to somebody at the end and it's like, yeah, don't worry, we're not going to make it there with so-and-so or whatever. And it looks like she's playing both sides. So, but again, this is another one I'm not planning on reading the next issue of, but what'd you give this?
I gotta give this one 3.25.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah. So I think out of the four here, I think Undead Pool was the winner of the most interesting. I think X-Vengers probably for me after that. I might check out the next one. Cloak or Dagger and Expatriate X-Men. I don't think I'll be reading the next one. Yeah. All right. Next up, we got another conclusion this week. Since we're still in mutant territory, Emma Frost, the White Queen, #5. Another great David Nakayama cover. Yeah.
Can't go wrong with that.
What'd you think of the wrap up of this?
I didn't mind this wrap up. I think it kind of tied together the whole series and put some structure into what was going on in the first 4 issues. It seems like what's her name? Emma Frost is confronting the inner circle of the people that were trying to kill her. And there was a sort of a swerve reveal as to sort of who's behind the trying to steal her power there. And then she had a little card up her sleeve with Sebastian Shaw that, they were still sort of in cahoots or on the same side. And I kind of like, just seeing her back in power, not being on the run or, seeing more of a Emma Frost that we're used to. And I guess that was the whole sort of point of this series here. It kind of takes place in the past. And, I guess these pretenders to the throne thought they could, get rid of her there. And now we see why she was the powerhouse that she is. So that was okay. Like, who's that person? Like, that was her protege or something that was trying to take her place.
Yeah.
What the name was. It was like Numi or something. Or
yeah, this woman here. Yeah.
So I guess that's a bit of a swerve. But yeah, I thought it tied together the series, and I enjoyed that part.
Yeah, I agree with you. I feel like this was just okay throughout most of it, but this is definitely one of those miniseries that I felt like it got better as it went. And here we are at the wrap up. I'm not saying like I needed to get more of this at this point because, who knows how good it would have been past this issue. But I do think like here by the conclusion, this was, a good wrap up. And I think the art actually got better throughout the series as well. Like, it's the same artist, I feel like, throughout the whole series. I don't know if they just found their footing or got better drawing these characters as the series went on, but by the end of it, I thought it was really good. And yeah, not a lot of complaints about this. I mean, I'm not saying this is must read material, but if you like this character, you can honestly do a lot worse, especially for a lot of the female led miniseries or 10-issue series, things that we've been getting lately out of Marvel that have basically been selling off of the success of their covers, which this is definitely one that I went all in on a bunch of covers for, but I'm not as disappointed by this one as I was many of the other ones that we've read and talked about here on the show. This was okay. I liked it by the end, and I think it kind of gives you a good idea of the motivations and who this character is. Like, it was a good representation of her, I think, by the end of it. Mystique was great in it. So yeah, it was not bad. What'd you give this?
Yeah, I'd give this one maybe a 3.75, but a 3.5 for the total series.
Yes. Yep. Yeah, strong issue to go out on, 3.75, but overall, yeah, 3.5 for this series as well, a miniseries. All right, then I got a couple here that I read. Another one that ended this week, Runaways number 5. This is again Rainbow Rowell returning to the Runaways that she wrote like a bunch of issues for, like, I don't know, like 30 issues or something. She had a good run a few years ago prior to her writing She-Hulk. This is the series that she did for Marvel, which I was a big fan of. So this was kind of fun to revisit and catch up with all these characters. And then this conclusion with this being the wrap up to like their what happened to them during one World Under Doom. They had a Doombot on their team from previously that basically became part of the team. He was like a Doombot that Victor Mancha was able to like hack into and make it so like he was, he hung out with them. He still always thought he was Doom and referred to Doom or himself as Doom, and like he liked Doom, but he was not evil. He wasn't there to like, like hurt them. He just became part of like their group of people that they lived with and part of the team. So he was actually a really fun character, and the dialogue was always really funny with them. But then, like, in this series, he basically he left the team because once they started getting attacked by the other Doombots, were saying like, you're a Doombot, you belong with us. Your master needs you or whatever. You must go to the Prime Doom or whatever. And then he's like, okay, yeah, I'm gonna go with these guys. I don't want to, but I don't want anything bad to happen to you kids. So I'm gonna go and I'll go back with where I should be, who I should be with, where I'm from. So he ends up going back, but then I guess they sneak attack a bunch of Doombots after he leaves and tries to avoid them getting attacked. It still end up and attacking these kids for the fact that Doom found out about this and the fact that they were able to like, hold him there for such a period of time and that it wasn't their property to begin with. So he wants to punish them. So they get attacked by all these Doombots. Nico Minoru, who's been struggling with her powers throughout this whole series, is able to finally kind of learn how to use her powers in this. And the other Doombot, he's out and about and doing his thing. And he sees on TV the reveal in One World Under Doom how Doom was using a bunch of children and people in Latveria to siphon power off of them to kind of help with all the energy of magic he's using to trick the world and everybody. And that scene that we get in One World Under Doom, it's talked about on the TV, and the Doombot's like, he's like, no, I'm not Doom. He's like, that's evil. Like, why would he want to hurt these kids? Like, Doom protects the people of Latveria. Doom wouldn't do anything like this. He's like, and then it messes with his programming. He's like, I am no longer Doom. And he's like, screw this. And he goes back to the Runaways and helps them against their attack with the rest of the other Doombots. And by the end of it, it's like, happy times are here again. All the crew's all back together. The Doombot's there now with them. And he's like, you're going to need to make a name for me. Like, cause I'm no longer associated with Doom. I'm not Doom. Like, which is like against his, he's never said that throughout the whole series. He always considered himself Doom. So it was a nice little wrap up even to like story threads that they started throughout the original series that Rainbow Rowell did. So I think she actually used the event to her advantage. It was a perfect opportunity for her to write these characters again because he was an established character in the series already prior to a Doombot. And I kind of miss that she's writing this series. By the end of it, it was like, yeah, we'll see the Runaways again at some point. So I don't know if they plan on relaunching it again with her writing them. it gave me a little bit of hope, but I haven't heard any announcement about that happening yet. So I wouldn't mind if she kind of came back and did like another mini series at some point. I think Rainbow Rowell between this and She-Hulk, I like the tone of her books. It's definitely a lot different than a lot of the other superhero books that we read, but I think that's a good thing for that reason. I quite like the tone of her like slice of life kind of approach, like kind of just well-written characters and dialogue. I like her stuff. So I gave this, you know what? I give this 4 out of 5. I quite like this. And I give the miniseries that. I'm probably going to pick up the trade of this just because I like her Runaways. And I think this was a good use of the event. Didn't feel like one of those tie-ins that's like has nothing to do with the event that they're kind of just, force feeding us. Like, oh yeah, you forget about these characters, well, here they are. They're in one world under two, right? So like kind of like, not to diss on that book we talked about earlier, but that's kind of what I felt about Cloak and Dagger. I'm like, why are they involved in this Age of Revelation?
Age of Revelation. We're looking at you right there, pal.
Yeah, exactly. There's a lot of those going on there. So, and then Batman and Robin Year 1, number 12. This is the last issue of this maxi series by Mark Waid and Chris Somney on art. You know what? Nothing new to add to this that I haven't said already about this book throughout any of the issues I've covered or talked about here on the show. It's a fine, basic Batman story. Nothing new here. Nothing new to be said. Nothing I haven't seen. It's not a bad Batman story by any means, but it's just not a standout. The standout of this series has been Chris Somney drawing it. Something that people have been asking for a lot. He's worked with, Mark Waid over at Marvel a long time, did some great stuff, Black Widow, Captain America, things with him over there. And everyone wanted him to draw a Batman book. So here you go. Here's his Batman book with Mark Waid. So it's just, there's nothing special here about the story. And again, it's not a bad story. And I'll definitely be picking up the trade. I stopped buying the issues because I'm like, I'm going to pick up the trade of this. I like Chris Somney's art. Great art throughout. Good story. So yeah, take that as you will. I think the highlight of this is Chris Somney, and I've said it every single issue I've talked about it. It's just in comparison to the other Batman books, he's not doing anything interesting in this. It is like a throwback old kind of retelling of him and Dick Grayson coming together. And then by the end of this, it's like you get the scene of him adopting Dick Grayson, which is, is fine. And I do want to show off one page here at the end. And then like there's the whole scene where Gordon announces the fact that he's going to be working with this vigilante to Gotham. And it's kind of the start of all of that, I guess, the relationship between those people. So you get to see some classic kind of retelling or a different like reimagining of these moments in this series, which are fun. But there's a great page of them kind of in the spotlight at the end right here. I was like, that's a great fucking looking page when I was reading this. I'm like, that's the price of admission in this issue. I was like, that's really nice looking. And I like that scene when he revealed them, and then he's a smart ass Dick Grayson. He says a bunch of smart ass comments, and Batman keeps having he gets the relationship down, and Mark Waid does good work, but it's just like it's not a absolute Batman. That's a standout Batman book right now. You know what I mean? As far as I'm concerned, this is like more of the same, I guess, what you would expect, but with a really good artist. I'll give it 3.7. I'll probably give both the series and this issue 3.75 out of 5 though as a whole. And then if you're a huge Chris Somney artist, this is a must buy. If you skipped out, buy the collection. Sorry, Chris Somney fan. I just said huge Chris Somney artist. Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. And then Superman Red and Blue 2025 special. This was okay. There's the one story. There's about 4 short stories in this one. The first one is Mirka Andolfo and Paul Dini writing it. This was good. I like Mirka Andolfo's art. Paul Dini, always a good writer as well. This was fun, but you can tell this is just Paul Dini leaning into the whole fact that at the end of the new Superman movie, we get Supergirl and Crypto. Like you had pointed out before, Chris, no one's used Crypto this much until very recently before like kind of, you see him in that scene in the movie that was popular where Supergirl is showing up. And in this story, you get like a little bit of Crypto and Supergirl as well, drawn by Mirko Andolfo. So I wasn't mad at it. It was a good story. And then the middle story, the second story after this is the one I really enjoyed, and the only one I would have bought this for, honestly, but I ended up not picking up the issue. I just read this digitally. was the Michael Walsh story. Now, Michael Walsh, I'm a huge fan of his stuff. And, I know he's also a recent father just by like talking to him at cons and like seeing his profile on his Instagram and stuff like that. So like this kind of felt like a little bit more of a personal story because it's dealing with the start opens up with Superman dealing with his newborn son in this and, his life with Lois. And then it's like one of those classic day in the life of Superman type stories, which again has been done before. But it's drawn and written by Michael Walsh, so it was good. It was like one of those things where you see all the things that he does in every day of his life and the sacrifices he has to make in his personal life with Lois and like the things he has to do to like help people every day and how he kind of manages to get it all done still by the end of the day. Because it's one of those things where you see him put his head on the pillow to go to sleep at the end of the night, and the next morning it kind of starts with the baby crying and like everything else. Oh, I gotta get the baby, I gotta take care of that. Oh, I gotta go help somebody, save somebody on the other side of the world. So it's kind of like one of those fun day in the life type Superman stories, which again we've seen before, but but drawn by him, it was good to see. So I'll give this a 3.5 out of 5. The other two stories not really worth mentioning in this, but because there was a couple good artists and a couple good stories, I'll give it a middle of the line, almost 3.5 out of 5 for an anthology, which if you watch this show a lot, I don't love anthologies, but yet I read them all the time. All right, Chris, Absolute Batman 2025 annual #1.
There we go. Let's talk about comics.
Yeah.
Daniel Warren Johnson. He's built a freaking right Absolute Batman or draw Absolute Batman. I liked some of the beats there. They're a few hours or a couple hours out of Gotham. Bruce is there to pick up some of his modified weapons, so everything's non-lethal. They got to drop this, at least not push this non-lethal stuff. Maybe just kind of keep it in the background. They're not going to say every time he's buying some weapons, oh yeah, I'm here for the beanbags and the shocker, whatever, rounds and stuff like that. And then, of course, they're in this backwater town. Some company came in there and I guess they folded, and all the locals are, of course, upset with the newcomers that came in there. And, they're kind of just starting some trouble with some people. And, Bruce being Bruce, he kind of steps in. And I like how the shopkeeper is just trying to warn him, hey, buddy, just leave that alone. This ain't for you. Yeah. And, the shopkeeper comes in. He ends up being, part of that group there. And they crack him in the head. And he's sort of in a bad spot. But I guess he recovers. I guess some priest that saves him or something?
Yeah.
And then he goes back after these guys as Batman, and he freaking kicks the crap out of them. And that's sort of where that's, I want to be non-lethal, but I'll put batarangs through your forehead. I'll make sure my batarangs are nice and sharp, but I don't worry if I'll shoot some beanbag bullets at you.
Yeah.
But anyways, the art was great. The story, the story was a great story. And I guess this was supposed to be a bit of the origin of from what they were in the solicitations, they were saying this is like the origin of the Batmobile. I don't know if it's much of an origin. He just sees a freaking giant dump truck and takes it. But all great stuff. Great splash pages, great fight scenes. Like, look at there. Butt and arm.
That part's crazy when the guy's about to do the white power. He just grabs his arm and just snaps it. I'm like, what? The brutality of the Absolute Batman character is what makes it that much even better than like regular Batman, though. Yeah. Like the fact that like he's like I'm gonna just roll around in a huge ass tank, just like you said, like he's still like, oh yeah, I'm not gonna kill these people, but he'll like cut your hand off. He'll he'll crack your arm.
I carry axe on my chest, though. That's okay.
Yeah, exactly. Like that was what like kind of was made all the difference in those earlier Absolute Batman issues where that first scene where he cuts a guy's hand off with the axe, and I was like, whoa.
Yeah, we're for something different. We're for right here. And at least they're not, they're still leaning into that, which I think is the best part of this Absolute Batman.
Yeah, man. And just like, again, like Daniel Warren Johnson is such great art. And again, like some of the moves that you see he's busting out in this. He
I think he got someone. He's got the razor's edge. He does that to somebody, but he lands there. And, he's got somebody down in an arm bar. It's just great fight scenes.
Yeah, I love that he's continues to incorporate wrestling moves in his issues, and it's such like cool, fast looking, kinetic art. Like it's just, yeah, I really hope we get him on like a regular Batman book at some point. Like they let him write and draw his own Batman thing, because this, I mean, although like this is the more extreme version of that, which I think is actually better almost for Daniel Warren Johnson to draw, to be honest with you, than a regular Batman book. So I'm really happy that he got to write and draw this annual here. And we forgot to mention at the top of the show, this is like a fifth week of comics this month, and this is normally where you get like these crappy annuals that they put out. This is anything but. This is
how you do an annual. Like you bring top talent in there.
Yes,
and you put a decent story that showing off someone who's
Look at
yeah. And the second story was nothing to sneeze at either. It was James drawn in the same style, or it was still like a dark, gritty style. Whatever. There's some I don't know even what this gang was of. They seem to have some sort of occult powers, and they're trying to break into some church, and freaking Batman just goes apeshit on them too. Can't complain about that.
Yeah, I was about to say I really like the backup as well. That was James Herron that wrote and drew that one. Now James Herron also definitely does have like this a sort of the same style almost, I would say, and like a peer of like his. Like they came up through comics, I feel like, the same time, and he's the guy that drew that Ultra Mega book, the one with the kaijus that I was reading and talking about on the show, which I couldn't make heads or tails of what was going on in the story, but I kept buying it because I love his art so much. So like I've been a big fan of his for a long time too. So this is, you have two fantastic artists on this issue for this annual, telling like really fun stories with this character. Yeah, like Chris said, this is an annual worth picking up. If you skipped out on this because you didn't see Scott Snyder's name on this, good luck finding a copy, first of all, because they were sold out like all over the place last I heard. But like, I'm sure they're gonna reprint this. Pick this up if you missed out on this annual. This is great stuff. Great issue. What'd you give this, Chris?
I'm gonna give this 4.25.
Yeah, agreed. I could even maybe go 4.5 on this, because I almost kind of want to, just because of the artists involved in this issue. I am 4.5 because the artists are so good on this issue, and you got two of them. It's not like you got one bad one. Two really good artists wrote and drew these stories. So yeah, 4.5 out of 5. Great issue. The Mortal Thor #3.
Yeah, I've been enjoying this series here, and I think now they're breaking to some of this Asgardian lore. In those first couple issues, I'm not sure where they sort of were in this world, and if this is just some construction worker that might think he's Thor. But now I think they start off with the leader of this cult that somehow Thor wandered into because he wanted an under the table construction job. So I don't know if there's like some construction mafia they got going on there or something. But either way, these new villains or something, at least there's a whole bunch of them, and they seem to be structured. But Thor is now having dreams of Thor himself, it seems.
Yeah.
And now there's this Loki character that's kind of floating around that's either helping him or not helping him. And of course, he gets another job, and that group, I don't even know what they're called, but they're out there, they've kind of nailed out or figured out who this guy is that's causing all the problems. And they want to go there and basically just try and kill him. But they don't want to kill anybody else on the work site, so they kind of tranquilize everybody.
Yeah.
And then Thor there, I guess, the other workers were commenting how he ties his hammer to his glove just in case he's dropping, because he's a high iron worker. And, they're amazed that he's just driving all these pins or rivets with just one arm. So he's and kind of, just make it note that he's a big, strong guy. And, these villains sort of try and take him down, and he just goes to town on them too with that hammer tied to a string. And he kind of uses it a bit like a rope there, swinging like Tarzan or Spider-Man a few times. But the cops get involved, and I guess he calls his neighbor for some help that he's, locked up in jail. and that Loki character's kind of floating around still, and then Odin comes back in here. So, in the main timeline, I guess that Odin was dead, or he's gone to the great sleep or something. So we'll see kind of where this story's going and kind of what timeline it's in.
This was my first issue of this. Chris has been talking it up on the show. I know the first issue, and you kind of weren't sure what to think of it, and you're like, I don't know about this one. And then the second issue, you're like, okay, yeah, I think I got a better handle on like what's going on here now. And it seemed that you enjoyed the second one much more. Yeah, this is an interesting approach. I didn't read the first two, but I actually am going to go back now. I think read them in time for the next issue before that one comes out, because I did like this. I mean, this whole idea of him being like just a regular mortal person for a bit here, and having this other person seem like manipulate like things that are happening in his life. Like there's a moment where like he doesn't have the papers in order to work on this construction site, and like he magics them in essentially to help him, and now that's kind of what sussed him out to Odin at the end of this issue when he shows up, where he's like, yeah, you screwed up, you shouldn't have done that. So I know, like, you making those papers appear, like I was able to track back this magic that came from here, and I need to know what the hell is going on. What the hell are you up to this time, right? So yeah, it's kind of like an interesting angle and a way to tell a different type of story for the character. So I can always appreciate that. And this had enough other interesting things happening in the surrounding storyline of, like you said, like, and there's a bunch of he messed up a lot of those guys, like actually had to fight them on the construction site in this. So it's not like you're not getting Thor action. You just, it's just like not in the same context of like him being a god, like, or like that we're used to, right? They came on the construction site working a 9 to 5, right? So it's kind of an interesting,
throwing around a hammer like it's nothing.
Yeah. It's an interesting angle, though. I do like it. It's interesting so far. So yeah, I don't feel like I didn't read any of the last run that Al Ewing wrote, and I don't feel lost like with this story so far. So I think you can jump right in with this one, because I'm just going to read the other 2 issues out of self-interest, but I think you could just honestly just jump in here and move forward with it. That's the way I felt reading this. So yeah, good stuff. What'd you give this?
Yeah, I give it 3.75.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah, not bad. 3.75 out of 5. And then our last book here this week, we got Black Cat number 3. I think this is the Lucas Wernick variant cover. I think this one. It's a good, nice one. I like stuff. Yeah.
I still got to go with that A cover. That A cover is still pretty good.
Yeah. Adam Hughes, can't go wrong.
And Black Cat, great covers. I think the story's decent. Maybe I'm just a fan of Black Cat, so I might enjoy this if more than someone that isn't a Black Cat fan. She kind of breaks the fourth wall here, but they don't go overboard with it. She'll kind of just, look into the screen or look through the panel every once in a while and tell you something. And, she's still trying to fight on the good side there, and she's got the attention of Tombstone. And I think here, what's she trying to do? These people are hired. They're transporting something to like some I guess headquarter or some dark site, and she's there to stop them. The art's great in this. They're drawing her well, and it's just a fun read. And I'm sort of interested in where it's going. Like there's some big players coming in. Tombstone's in there. The Sandman's fighting her, and I thought it was good stuff.
No, I totally agree with you, Chris. I would even go as far as to say this is definitely the best of the female-led books Marvel has done. I know we've talked a bit about it here this episode with the Emma Frost miniseries wrapping up, and how a lot of them really haven't been that great that we've sampled here, and outside of like the really nice covers. But I actually think this is a really fun book. Even this whole scene with the fact that the giraffe was driving this truck that she sees, it's a fun book. It doesn't take itself too seriously. I think G. Willow Wilson has a good characterization of Black Cat in it. And it kind of scratches that same itch, honestly, that we got from the She-Hulk book, I would say, that we really enjoyed, like the Rainbow Rowell one. Like, it's maybe not so slice of life. There's definitely a lot of super heroic type stuff happening in this, or she's trying to kind of live that life. But as a result, you're kind of seeing her go through stuff in her day to day. Like, and I actually really appreciate the fact that She has her cast of characters, those criminals like from the Jed McKay run and stuff in this miniseries, which, I'm glad they continued with those characters in this, which I thought like the Jed McKay series was great. Like it's one of the reasons why I started like Jed McKay. I thought like he really did a good job on that Black Cat series. So the fact that this kind of feels like it's in the same vein with having those people, like the people that work with her and stuff involved and her kind of going on these capers, but now through the lens of like trying to be a superhero, it works. I'm digging it so far. I actually quite liked this issue. I was surprised. And I was like, every issue again, I feel like it's getting better so far. So, and like she like comes across this warehouse that has like all this like drugs that he's harvesting drugs that are from another planet or something like that. Like it's just weird stuff going on in this book. And, I'm here for it. I'm enjoying the ride so far. It's fun. So, and of course, G. Willow Wilson, there you go. She wrote and created this character. She shows up in this issue. The best I've read of this character in a long time. And it shows. No, it really does. It shows. I'm like, this is why. This is the woman who created this character that's writing this comic. It felt like the old version of that character again in this book. Like nothing about, like, I don't think there was any mention of her being a mutant. She's got the old school costume on. I was like, this is great. Like I was really happy that she showed up. I forgot about that, honestly, till I was flipping through the art. I love that moment. I was like, that's, of course you're going to put her in this book if you were the creator of it, right? For a moment even, right? I was like, okay, that's awesome. So I missed that. I missed that series. I missed that version of the character, but what can you do? What'd you give this, Chris?
I got a 3.75 as well. So that was good.
Agreed. Yeah, 3.75 out of 5. All right, that's going to do it for what we read this week, guys. A little bit of comic book news, though, before we mention what we're checking out next week. Let me just bring up the article here. Chris actually brought this to my attention here for the show. Chip Zdarsky launches Marvel's Summer 2026 event, Armageddon. I guess they announced it at Luca Comics and Games in Italy. I guess they had like something going on, like a con out there where they announced this. Weird spot for them to announce this, at least according to Bleeding Cool News. This is where it came from. So
maybe they're trying to just raid all these Italian artists because there seem to be a lot of them out there now.
That's true. But what did it say here? This June, the Marvel Universe faces Armageddon, crafted by industry superstar Chip Zdarsky. It will impact the entire Marvel Universe, changing the face of Earth's mightiest heroes in a way not seen since Avengers Disassembled. The event that redefined the team for the 21st century. Groundwork for the event will be laid in upcoming storylines in Zdarsky and Valerio Schitti's Captain America, as well as recent developments in the Ultimate Universe. Oh, I think that artist that he's working with is even Italian on that series, if I'm not mistaken. Specifically, Miles Morales returning home with origin boxes, something that happened in Incursion number 5, which we had fallen off of. We didn't talk about that on the show. Armageddon assembles in June. So it's a big Avengers-related event, and it has something to do with the 616 universe, apparently. So, I mean, the fact that they're allowing Zdarsky to do this when I thought he was done with Marvel, I thought he said, but now he seems to be like...
No, I might be back. I think DC gave him the runaround all over Batman. I swear. I get that feel. Like I have no concrete evidence of it, but it seems like they gave him the runaround.
I mean, it's unfortunate that like he's not one to appear at his local like big cons here with Fan Expo in Toronto, but I know there's other things that you can catch him at locally if we ever get the chance. I mean, I feel he's probably has been pretty vocal about it somewhere. I'm sure he's talked about it somewhere because I agree. It seemed like, yeah, he kind of got dicked around with the fact that they did the Hush 2 and all of a sudden his run got like, given.
Yeah, kind of pull the plug on him.
Yeah.
And then, for that Hush 2, that's not coming out ever still. What are they on the 3rd issue of that? Like 6 months later, we're going to be, we're in Batman 3 next week. And this is supposed to be wrapped up before Batman even started.
Yeah.
And we're not even halfway through this.
And then there was like this whole thing that he did in his like that zine that he puts out. I think I sent you a picture of it where he was poking fun at it, where he's like, "Oh no, I'm totally not upset about it. No big deal." Right? And he's a funny guy, so maybe he was just playing around with it. I'm sure he left on good terms, but like I do think that they dicked around and editorially it felt like with his run a little bit. Like it seemed like he should have been on the book longer than that, and I don't know what happened there. They mucked up his plans, I feel like. But yeah, because like right after that, I think before that he said he was done working with Marvel, and then he went back and took the Captain America job, right? So then here we are now. Which listen,
It looks like Marvel's giving the keys to something. You know, he did a good job with that Twilight.
loved it.
And maybe
And
that's enough. Maybe that was enough to bring him back. They go, hey, this is, you know, what do you want? He goes, I want the Avengers. Okay, here you go.
he
He's
he
like, what
also
do you got for the Avengers? I got something. Okay.
He even did that great Spider-Man life story. Let's not forget that. Fantastic. That was a great story. Like this guy writes actually important books. You know how like DC has like their Kingdom Comes and they have like their Dark Knight Returns. Marvel really doesn't have a lot of those like evergreen books where like you can just hand to somebody and be like, yeah, here's a great story about this character. It's like mostly like comprised of like long runs on characters, right? There isn't that many like singular kind of. He actually did a couple of really good ones like that. Like you said, Avengers Twilight was great. Spider-Man life story. So if he's going to be helming an event, I'm all in, honestly. Like we were just talking about this the other day, me and Chris. We're like, wow, Marvel really needs to get some new writers. Like they're giving all these great jobs to like, I feel like mediocre people, honestly.
Not even mediocre people. It's the same people are writing the, like, how many things can Jerry Duggan write or Jed McKay? Like these guys are just getting overloaded, or these writers at least are getting overloaded with stuff. And it's almost the same with the artists. They don't have any like true, you know, like, you know, they're like their A tier, like their A tier list of artists isn't a very big tier.
But I even think like the big names that they do get back to do stuff aren't like 100% in or invested in.
Yeah, they're all part timers. Like, you know, you're not getting like we have the Carrie Andrews. He's doing that Spider-Man Wolverine, but you need him on some mainstream stuff. And McGinnis, he's here out there. Todd Knock, these are people that are in and out every once in a while.
Yeah. You know, Hickman will come out and come over there and work on something for a bit, but then leave it.
Yeah, make it awesome. And then yeah, that's great. Thanks, John. We're gonna shut it down.
Yeah. So yeah, the Ultimate Universe.
Well, maybe Marco Cicchetto is going to be free to do something now because Ultimate Spider-Man's over. So
yeah,
what did he get into?
I mean, it would be great to get him on that. I mean, who did he work with? It was Daniel Acuna. He worked with an Avengers Twilight. Who's now doing that Remender book. So that's not going to probably happen unless they wrap that up. And then Bagley did the Spider-Man life story with him. So yeah, I think this is a good move. I'm excited for this news. I mean, I'm just hearing about it for the first time doing the show here with Chris. So but I think the fact that we were literally just having this conversation about them needing some new blood or new writers or bring back some of the other good writers they've had in more recent years, this definitely speaks to that. If Bendis, I know there's rumors going around, if Bendis comes back, that might be interesting because he's been gone for a while now, right? Like, so, I feel like they're feeling the pressure because I also feel like you said, maybe they're not mediocre writers. Some of them are, but some of them, though, that we like, they're just getting spread too thin. Like, I don't feel like Jed McKay should be writing both the X-Men and the Avengers titles like right now. Like, it's
that's big. That's a lot of food on your plate.
Right. So, and I think it's suffering. Some of the work's suffering as a result of it. Like, I really was hot on Jed McKay a couple years ago. And now this past year, I haven't been as hot on his stuff because I'm like, you're doing too much. And like, a lot of it's not great, like in my opinion. Right. So it's just like, Benjamin Percy, you're doing like 7 books. Like, what is this? Right? Like, so you're doing every mini series of every badass character they have. Oh, Wolverine. Oh, Benjamin Percy. Punisher. Right? You gotta get Benjamin Percy on that one. Wolverine and Deadpool. Oh, you gotta get Benjamin Percy. Yeah, you're right, Chris. You make a good point. And then like all the other ones, like there's all these flagship titles that Marvel has that we're not even interested in reading right now currently. Like it's terrible. So
it's terrible.
Yeah. So I don't know. I mean, this. Hopefully this is something good. I think I have trust in Zdarsky. If this is going to spin out of his Captain America, and then you had mentioned in a couple of issues they're actually bringing it back to current day timeline with the character. I guess this first arc was just like, I guess the debut story, and now they're bringing it back to like current continuity. I'm good with that. I think I'm gonna stick on the book now. I was telling you last episode, I'm like, oh, it's on the chopping block. I don't know about this, but with all this news now coming out, yeah, I think I'm on board because I like Zdarsky's stuff for the most part. He's done a great job for great work for Marvel, right? So, all right, so there's your news, your comic news, a new event this summer. Let's get to what we're looking forward to reading next week here.
Okay, let's see. Go this old school. The ones I'm buying at least is Amazing Spider-Man 15. I think I'm getting the Planet She-Hulk because they have those Inuk Street First variant covers are coming out. So
Yeah,
I might be picking up a lot of comics that I don't usually get because those are decent covers. I know why I like them.
I'm getting
Yeah,
a bunch of them too.
there's like 15 or 20 of those. I can't be buying all of them, but I want to.
I got about several, I think, that I
Yeah,
pre-ordered.
I got like 7 or 8 of them at least.
Yeah.
What else? Yeah, Absolute Superman 13, Batman number 3, got GI Joe 13, and definitely reading Void Rivals. And I think there's a bunch of Marvel tie-ins to this Age of Revelation I might look into because it does seem to be a smaller week again.
Yeah. All right. I don't have my stuff separated by stuff I'm picking up, like physical and stuff I'm reading digitally. So I'm just gonna rattle off stuff I have. I'll be reading anyways. The conclusion of Huck Big Bad World comes out.
Ooh, yeah, definitely read that too.
Nemesis Forever #3. We got the second. Yeah, another one I know you'll check out. Orphan, that one I'm picking up. Orphan and the Five Beasts, Bath of Blood, #2 of 4 comes out next week. Be picking that up. What else? That's Dark Horse. DC Comics, Absolute Superman, I'll be reading. That Adventures of Superman Book of L comes out. I don't know if you're reading that still. Batgirl 13. Batman 3 comes out next week. I'll be picking that up. Cheetah and Cheshire Rob the Justice League #4. I'll be reading that. DCKO Nightfall comes out next week. I might check that out.
We'll check that out as well.
Yeah. I think that's it for DC. Then just going over to Marvel here. Image. GI Joe 13. I guess that's the what's it called? Dreadnought War starting, I think, in that. Rook Exodus, maybe. Void Rivals for sure. #24. Be picking that up. I think that's it for Image. Yeah. And Marvel, like you mentioned, I'll probably be getting some covers that I don't normally get because of the Streetverse variants. Amazing Spider-Man 15. Amazing X-Men 2. It's continuing the Jed McKay one. Maybe Avengers. I don't know. I don't think I'm reading a lot of these second go-rounds of these Age of Revelation books. Like, I'm not going to be reading Laura Kinney, Binary. I'm not reading those this time. But we talked about the first issue, so if you want to hear what we had to say, Long Shots I'll probably read. I liked that one. I think that's the only one I liked out of this week. Because now we've gone through all of the #1s I think they planned on doing. Planet She-Hulk 1 I'll probably also check out. And yeah, that's it. Not too big of a week for Marvel for me either, but at least stuff I'm picking up. But yeah, that's what we're checking out next week, guys. And that's the week.
When we were speaking about that DCKO night fight, I think in December they revealed sort of who Wonder Woman, Superman, Harley Quinn are fighting. Like I think in DCO or in December, DCKO, the main series, takes a break, and I think each week they have like DC or KO Superman versus, and it was blank. They had one Wonder Woman versus blank. They had I think Harley Quinn versus a blank. And they revealed who they're fighting. So I think the first one is Superman versus Captain Atom. So I wasn't too interested in that. The Wonder Woman one, this one sounds interesting. At least you have Wonder Woman versus Lobo. And then for Harley Quinn, I think it's Harley Quinn versus Zatanna, if I remember correctly. So I think I picked up those two for the December solicitation.
Nice. I mean, Zatanna should make quick work of Harley Quinn, honestly, but we'll see.
You never know what power level they give Harley Quinn.
Well, that's the problem, right? That's one of those characters where like it adjusts to like the situation, unfortunately, right? But I mean, Lobo
with the hammer.
Lobo versus Wonder Woman, though. That's interesting, actually.
That's what I'm looking forward to the most.
Yeah, absolutely. Cool. Nice. And yeah, the next week stuff that we did just mention, that's going to be for November 5th. We're the first week in November here that we'll be talking about that. But that's next week. Make sure to tune in for that. All right, Chris, your favorite book of the week. I think this is no surprise, honestly.
Yeah, it's an easy pick. This comic isn't just the best of the week. I think it saved the week.
Yeah.
It's going to be Batman, the whatever the annual #1. I can't believe it's an annual too.
Yeah, Absolute Batman 2025 annual #1. Yeah, this is the favorite of the week for sure, hands down, no question. And you know, these fifth week of comics are pretty rough sometimes, just because, like, you know, there was probably even a couple things we normally wouldn't have read on the show that we talked about today, and just like this kind of.
I did read Robo-Wolf.
Oh,
that was like a trip back to the 90s.
Yeah, I read the first issue. I'm gonna pick it up and trade. I liked it.
Yeah.
Did you like it? Was that any good?
Stuff.
The art's great. Like, I love the art style, and like, yeah, it's like old school video game type of vibe type stuff going on in there. Yeah. I like that. Cool. That's awesome.
You got to be drinking like a Mountain Dew Cold Red while you're drinking that and eating some Doritos or something.
You want to talk about the extreme 90s? That's what's going on in that book. Absolutely. Yeah. I read the first issue, and I was just the second issue took so long to come out that I just didn't end up checking it out this week, where I'm just going to pick up the trade because I liked it enough that I'm like, oh yeah, I'll check this out. So there you go. Shout out to Robo-Wolf there at #2 by Jake Smith, fun creator. I've read a couple of his other miniseries he's done as well through Dark Horse, mostly creator owned stuff. So yeah, good stuff. All right. Well, that's going to do it for this episode though. We'll make sure to check us back next week for another weekly comic book review episode here of Comic Shop Talk on the Late Night Chat Network, your first stop for pop culture talk. And thank you to Chris as always. We'll see you guys next time. Later.
Next time.